Welcome back to another Free Tool Friday, where today we're going to talk about a bit of a controversial topic. How much should IT cost you as a business? Right after this. So today we're going to talk about a controversial topic in the IT industry, and that is how much should IT cost overall. But before we jump into that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am and why you should listen to anything I have to say. Let's jump into it. So again, my name is Chris Getz. I've been in the IT industry for 25 plus years as an entrepreneur, a thought leader. I co-founded Aspire Interactive Technologies, LLC in 2009. I managed projects ranging from 5 to 9 figures across multiple years. ITIL certified, specializing in service delivery and focusing in on the customer experience, customer service, is kind of our cornerstone here. So also worked with hundreds of businesses to streamline their IT investment for maximizing their value. I'm a father, a grandfather, love to be outdoors. Again, love to be helping and serving people anywhere we can. And any opportunity I can take to do that, I take it. When we say what is covered under IT cost here, what we're talking about is what's covered under the umbrella of IT. So let's talk about those things. So hardware. That means laptops, desktops, servers, and printers, network pieces, network switches, routers, Wi-Fi equipment, anything that can be classified as hardware, that's what we're talking about. Also software. So we're talking about any purchases that you make, whether it's a piece of software that you purchase one time, whether it's a subscription, some sort of annual renewal for those subscriptions, that can be classified as IT cost as well. So any type of connectivity as well. So we're talking about internet, mobile phones if they're provided by the company, possibly mobile hotspots, anything that keeps you connected. Also cloud and cloud services. So we're talking about things like Dropbox. If you have things in Azure or AWS for your cloud infrastructure, those can be items that we're talking about. Services, outsourced IT in general, consulting, any type of repair to your networking, wiring, anything that can be categorized as a service provided to you that is an IT service. So now that we have a general understanding of what's covered under the IT cost, let's talk about how to interpret the numbers that we're going to share here. So these numbers are budgetary numbers that are shown as a percentage of gross revenue. And what this really means is it's revenue that's produced without taking out any expenses. So this is your top line number. You call it top line revenue, gross revenue. If your company made a bajillion dollars this year, that's your gross revenue. That's where we're going to start from. So let's take a look at the numbers by industry. So this actually is provided to us by Flexera. It's their 2020 State of the Tech Spend report. And the industries that it covers are software industry, so anybody that develops software, tech and hosting and cloud services, financial services, we've got regular services underneath there, retail and e-commerce, consumer products, transportation and logistics, healthcare and industrial products. So if you don't see some of your industries in here, construction and manufacturing, a lot of those are going to be covered under industrial products. A lot of them are going to be covered under services, architectural and engineering firms, anybody who has a service-based business and delivers either drawings or products or construction services, consulting, that's going to fall under those two categories right there. So you can see on their IT services, their IT budget, just because of what they do. Same thing for tech hosting and cloud. Financial services, we all understand why we need more spending there to keep our banking safe, to keep your online presence safe when you're doing any kind of financial transactions. That should be a little further out in the realm of spend. And then overall, your weighted average, that's an interesting number here because it falls into the 8.2% of total revenue spent. If you see where the weighted average falls in line with the top three, and then where what I would consider core small to mid-sized market businesses lie, which are in the services and industrial, all the way down to the industrial products, you can see that the average is a little bit skewed. I'll tell you, overall, what we have seen in our customer base is a spend that's anywhere from 3 to say 9%, depending on what type of industry you're in. And then again, if you're in financial services, you're going to spend just a bit more. So let's talk about that average spend right now. So 8.2% of gross revenue is what that average weights out to. So the percentage of IT being spent is at 8.2%. The biz ops, so you can see the large chunk that's still present. So you can see the large chunk that's still being spent on just business operations, expenses, overhead, building maintenance, whatever you've got going on. There's a huge piece of that still there. IT is still about 8.2% of that. So just wanted to show that as a graphic here to get a visual representation of what that means before we jump into this next piece, which is just a quick example. If you're thinking about the average spend across the industry or where you need to be at, you can take, for example, I love easy math, so I can multiply and divide by tens by adding and subtracting zeros here. So I start with $1 million here. Whether you make $1 million a year or not doesn't matter. You could make more or less. This is a great starting point for you. So if you make about half that a year, you could half this annual IT spend up here that you see. If you make 10 times that, multiply the bottom annual IT spend to 10 times $82,000. With that being said, this is a very quick and dirty way to calculate annual IT spend and what you should be putting into it, or what it should be costing across the board. And just real quick, we'll go back and touch on, this is your complete and total IT spend and budget. If you're trying to compare what you're spending today versus what somebody in your industry is spending, back on this chart that we talked about. So let's talk about the big question. To you or to your business, is that expensive, that 8.2%, or maybe even the budget numbers that you saw or the spend numbers that you saw that were below that? Is that expensive to your business? And the answer is it depends. So a couple of stats here that we can cover. In a non-optimized environment, productivity loss ranges or averages about 5.1 hours per week per employee. And if you think about what that means, it's talking about, PCs slow down, hiccup with the printer, can't connect to the network drive. All of a sudden the thing reboots in the middle of the day because patches weren't pushed in a correct or timely fashion. Those are the interruptions that you can see on a daily basis across any industry that happen in an environment that's not really optimized, not being managed properly. The other 1.1 hours comes into play here from telephone services, voicemails, issues that people can't connect with each other. So it's a combination of PCs, servers, services, all the way to your voice services and the struggles that employees have. And that averages out to about 5.1 hours per week per employee. What that really equates to is a productivity loss of just under 13% in a 40-hour work week. That environment, these numbers can change. Obviously, your environment may be a little bit different, but on average, the average spend, if you want to call it that, is about 8.2% across all industries that we have in these charts. And the average productivity loss across companies in any industry, across all industries, is about 13%. So how much would you spend? 4%? 6%, 10% to recover the next 5-10% in productivity loss and pull that back in, basically getting more for your investment that you're paying your employees to do, or getting more hours in the day put towards making phone calls, making sales, closing business. So that's the question you have to ask, right? So I hope you found the numbers helpful. I hope that helps guide you in your budgeting process or decisions you might need to make as far as how much IT is costing you today. Are you getting everything that you expected? Are your systems running correctly? Are they running smooth? Are you still having problems? Take a look at the spend and see if you're actually in the ballpark, or maybe you're spending over that and you dial that back, right? So hopefully that's a good indicator of where you need to be in the industry that you're in. So if you have any questions, give us a ring. You can visit us at aspireforit.com, or you can email us at sales@aspireforit.com as well. We pay attention to all of those channels, all those communication channels, and usually a quick turnaround of maybe about an hour or so before somebody gets back to you. Before we close out the video, I'd like to cover one more way that you can connect with us. In the description below, there will be a link that you can actually use to schedule a 1-hour strategy session with us to find out, are we spending the right amount of money? Are you overspending on your IT? Or where are you at in general? And maybe there's a plan that we can take to get you from point A to point B. So that'll be in the links below. And if you like the video, give us a subscribe and a thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. We'll see you next time.